Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for The Man of Steel. Oh boy, I have been looking forward to this film for a very long time, and to be honest, I'm not even that big of a Superman fan. All the trailers, all the things leading up to the trailers, all that stuff just got me really pumped to see this film. I am now a Superman fan. Not saying this movie's great, but leading up to the film, I was just like, you know what? Okay, I'm a Superman fan. I've been seeing these trailers. I've been getting pumped every time you see Superman, a little glimpse here and there, and then later on in the trailer you get to see him a lot. I was like, yeah, Superman. I'm a fan now, I guess. So, what did I think of The Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, produced by Christopher Nolan, written by David S. Goyer, starring Henry Cavill? Here's the story. Alright, so the story for Man of Steel actually starts off on Krypton, the homeworld of Superman, and follows his father, Jor-El, played by Russell Crowe, who is struggling to get the Codex, which is this big hunk of skull that assures the continuation of his species, the Kryptonians, because Krypton's about to blow up, because they used the core of Krypton a little bit too many times and it's about to just blow up completely. So he gets this Codex, and of course someone else wants it. General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, wants this skull for his own nefarious ways, and not really nefarious, but I'm not going to spoil what he wants it for. And he wants that piece of skull for himself, but of course Jor-El does not want to give it to him. He takes the skull, he gives it to his newborn son, of course Superman, and sends him off to Earth. And that's pretty much where the story starts off. After that, it goes straight on Earth, and we follow Superman for the rest of the movie. Before he's Superman, he's Clark Kent, and he's just roaming around the world trying to find out who he is. How is he going to find out? He doesn't know, but he just keeps roaming the world, job after job, identity after identity. He wants to keep himself and his family safe, so of course Mom, Pa Kent, and he just wants to keep going and trying to find out who he is. And then out of nowhere, he actually finds out who he is because he finds a space shuttle that crashed on Earth way long ago, and of course he finds Russell Crowe's projection there, and he pretty much tells him straight up, you're my son, you need to stop this guy if he ever comes here. General Zod, that's his name, here's a suit, go ahead, fly around, and he becomes Superman after that point. He of course meets with Lois Lane, played by Amy Adams, who is a reporter trying to find out who he really is and what's happening here. Of course, later on in the film, General Zod makes an appearance. He comes to Earth because he wants to get Superman out of there, because he has something very important, of course the Codex, and that's pretty much where the main problem comes in. General Zod comes in and says, you know what, I'm going to destroy the world if I don't get what I want. I want Kal-El, I want the Codex. If I don't get it, I'm going to blow everything up. And of course Superman, or Clark Kent, he has to go and save the day. That's pretty much the story. What I really love about the story is that it is an origin story that is extremely well paced. I've seen so many origin stories that take way too long to explain the origin, and after an hour and a half we get the main character, we get the Ghost Rider, we get the Hulk or whatever. In this movie, barely an hour and he already puts on the suit and he's already flying around beating up bad guys, and the movie's 2.5 hours long. So you get plenty of Superman in this film. Hell, I would say you get plenty more Superman in this than you did in Superman Returns, a movie that already set up the ground for Superman. He already was Superman from frame 1 of the movie, which is sad. And it's so well paced. You get to know a lot about Superman, his past, way more than you did in the past movies. You get to see more of the stuff we already knew about. Mom and Pa Kent, his relationship with them. You get to see more of that, which is perfect. There's a lot of emotion in there. The acting is fantastic in my opinion. Henry Cavill, I was so worried he was going to screw it up, because I've seen him in plenty of movies before where he just was not that great. But not only did he look like Superman, he acted like Superman, he sounded like Superman. There's parts where he just says something and it sounds really intimidating, it sounds very stern like Superman would say it. He is Superman, and thank God they cast him, because he did a perfect job in my opinion. He is Superman. Good job on you, man, because I was worried that you weren't going to do it. I thought you were going to screw it up, but you did a great job here. You got Russell Crowe, who is fantastic as Jor-El, another character that is actually really likable and you get to know way more about than in the past films. He's great in this film. You have Amy Adams as Lois Lane, who is great here. She's very likable. She's very feisty. She's perfect as Lois Lane, but I have one problem with Lois Lane in this film. She gets saved about 4 times by Superman. Now, 1, maybe 2 times, that's fine, but 4 times, come on. I mean, I know she's a human and she gets into trouble a lot in this film, and, you know, Lois Lane usually gets in trouble a lot and needs to be saved, but, geez, 4 times in one movie, come on, 2 times max. 4, that's insane. I think it was actually 5 times thinking about it again, but she's still a good character. She was integral to the to the plot, and I still liked her. Diane Lane as Ma Kent, she was really good in her role, and of course Kevin Costner as Pa Kent, who was not really in the movie too much, but what I love about him is that he leaves such an emotional impact in the film when he leaves the film. I just loved him in his role. Him and Diane Lane, if I had another problem, it's that they don't really have that relationship that you would like to see. You don't get to see them together too much. You get to see them separated, and you get to see them together, but they never interact. That's probably my only other problem with the characters. You got Michael Shannon as Zod, who overacts, but perfectly as the villain, and he just does such a good job. I love Michael Shannon, and he has that stare that if he stares at you like Michael Shannon usually does, you know something bad's gonna happen, and he's great as the villain. You also have Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Perry White, who is just the head of Planet, the Daily Planet, the newspaper, of course, and you have some other, you know, side characters. Everybody does a great job in the acting. I don't want to take way too long talking about the acting. Let's just say everybody did a fantastic job in their roles, even if some characters didn't do what I would hope they would do or whatever. You know, they became too much of a cliche, especially Lois Lane, Jesus Christ. But yeah, the acting here is great. Now, of course, we get into the action and the special effects. Let me just say this, Superman Returns was a huge disappointment. That movie cost $270 million to make, and it did not show. I mean, the special effects were good for the time, but it did not show that budget. This movie cost $225 million, $45 million less, and it looks like maybe 5,000-6,000 times better than that film. The special effects are just absolutely breathtaking in this film. At first you go on Krypton and you see all the CG animals, you see the world itself, it looks beautiful. You see a lot of it too because Jor-El starts flying around and you see all these big vast mountainscapes and stuff. It looks amazing. And then, of course, after that, you get to see, of course, Superman flying around on Earth, going through buildings and mountains and stuff. The action is just well-paced all the way through the film, and the special effects are just fantastic, especially when Superman's flying around. I thought that was going to look cheesy. It didn't. It looked like a man flying around. In this film, you will believe a man can fly. Original tagline for Superman, if you didn't know. If you didn't know. This movie just has great special effects all the way throughout. Some of the best I've seen in a very long time. And you know what? Even though I loved Oblivion and Iron Man, even Star Trek, I think this looks actually a little bit better than all of them. Just a teeny bit better than Oblivion, because that movie used its budget very well. Here, there's times where you could see some, it's a little bit too CG, but then there's scenes that just blew your mind. And especially with the action. There is so much action in this film, unlike Superman Returns, which has like maybe one scene where he lifts a plane, and then another scene where he gets his ass whooped. I don't think he ever really punches anybody in that film, but in this film, he punches the crap out of some dudes, let me just say. And the last 40 minutes is all action. It's pretty much action, 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 little talking space, and then action, action, action. And it is epic. I'm sorry, I use that word a lot, but this movie is epic. When it gets into action, it just goes balls to the wall, going through buildings, mountains, it doesn't matter. Everything's getting destroyed. Superman don't care if people die. He just wants to see some cool shit when he throws Zod through a building. And it is awesome. The action is just so well done. Some of the best I've seen. So well shot. You understand what's going on. When Superman and Zod are just beating the crap out of each other close to the camera, you get to see just up and close. It is awesome. I'm sorry. I'm really excited to talk about this film because I want to see it again. This movie was just awesome. But I cannot give it a perfect score because the critics, even though they are completely wrong in most regards, they are right in one, and that is, even though the action is fantastic, I would have liked to seen a little bit more character development. Just a little bit more. Even though the characters are fantastic, I really love all of them, just take an example, Lois Lane. I would have loved to see a little bit more character development. I would have loved to see the Kents have more of a relationship, just a little bit more. If this movie had that a little bit more, I would give it a perfect score. But because there's way more action, which is fine with me, I love action, than character development, I'm going to have to give this a 39 out of a 40. It is a breathtaking, action-packed movie, but it has a couple very small problems, just very small. I don't see what the critics were smoking when they saw this film. 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Really, people, this is an awesome action film. Definitely go check it out. One of the best summer blockbusters I've seen in a very long time. Definitely go check it out. That's my review for Man of Steel. Definitely worth your time. Henry Cavill, you did a damn good job. And Zack Snyder, thumbs up right here. Thumbs up from me, at least. You did a great job with Superman. I cannot wait to see the next film. Thank you, and of course, goodbye.